Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sun Up Session. This is a little special edition of the show that we're getting to do, where we're going to be taking a bit of a time with our guests, and usually a creative guest, sometimes a business that we have in mind and stuff. This time, the first time we're getting to do this, our first musical guest is Mustard's Retreat. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
To kick things off, guys, would you mind introducing yourselves real quick to the audience?
I'm Libby Glover from Flint, Michigan. The band is based out of Ann Arbor.
And I'm David Tamulevich. Grew up in Connecticut by way of, went to American University in D.C. and then up to the University of Michigan, and which is where we met. She hired me for my first job ever, my first audition ever.
That's so awesome. Miss Mustard's Retreat is joining us in part because they're going to be a part of McMillan Library's great series that they have going on over there, Thursday, April 16th from 7 to 9:30. Their wonderful fine arts center. We're getting a chance to get to preview you guys a little bit. We'll hear some music from you in a little while. I'll let you in on something. Not a professional interviewer, not great at this, but I love so
Can
much.
confirm.
Yeah, she knows. But one of the things that I love doing, and part of that is getting to know people, and certainly doing her history. Last 2 weekends, I've done a deep dive on your history, and I find it amazing. I've done this with a lot of bands. I've done this with a lot of guests. I don't think I've come across one as unique as yours is. Can you give us a little bit of your background and how you two met? You touched on it just a second ago.
Sure. It was a kismet moment, for sure. The way the stars aligned is the only way you can really say it. My boss, the owner of the old Heidelberg restaurant, said, let's get music in the Rathskeller. You're the musician. Take auditions. So I took auditions, and in walked this character, and he was just very good. He was very good. He was raw, but he was real.
It was my first audition. I did
not know that.
Yeah, I'd been in there with friends on New Year's Eve, and somebody was playing, and they said, oh, you can do better than that. Why don't you audition? And the ignorance of youth, I said yes. And so, a week later, I was down auditioning, and fortunately, she hired me. I think she hired me because she knew all the songs I was singing and was a singer.
All the songs, and I was a harmony singer. I'd already been on the road. I already had my bona fides, and to step in harmony was very easy and really enriched the whole thing. And pretty soon, my manager would come from upstairs and relieve me behind the bar in my dirndl or my lederhosen, and I would go join David on stage. And then our third partner was also friends and a bass player that David had worked with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just, it was kismet, the way it fell together.
And they really honed their craft on stage at the moment because they didn't know what they were doing, really. They were not professionals. And here they were, and they started commanding the crowds, and everybody just loved them. And they were working so fast, we had to find a name.
That leads me perfectly to that. Where did that name come from, Mustard's Retreat?
We came up with lots of stupid names, as you and Michael came up with car parts and puns. And Mustard's Retreat was a tune I had written a couple years earlier. Nice that we're playing at the McMillan Library. My boss at the Ann Arbor Library, the University of Michigan Library, where I was working, was named Nancy Mustard. And she played guitar, and she showed me this little slide on the guitar I'd never seen before. I went home, I wrote an instrumental, and I thought, okay, I'll name it after her. And there's an old fiddle tune called Bonaparte's Retreat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, I'll name this Mustard's Retreat.
Oh,
and
that's
then
so sweet.
I know, just forgot about it, and I threw it out, and it was original, it was quirky.
It was better than the ones.
Yeah, right. And none of us thought we'd be going, this is our 52nd year.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So,
It's something too, and you may notice this too with touring, talking to other bands and everything. I don't think that as far as genres go, I don't think anybody has better band names than folk bands. You guys are just one of those. You're right up there with all the rest. It's a great one. I mentioned folk music. That is certainly your style. That is where we could put you guys. But I don't know that when I listened to you, and again did this deep dive of it and everything, I certainly could see you categorized as that. But there's a wide range of the styles that you are both doing. I want to, before we get into some of that, I want to just rewind a little bit and just find out a little more about both of you individually. For you, what was the first instrument you played, and how young were you when you did?
I wanted to play drum and fife and drum corps, and my dad had one of the drummers come over and give me a pad, and I couldn't focus, and I wasn't inspired. And then I took 6 or 7 years of piano lesson when I was I don't know, elementary school, junior high. I never cared for it, and then I picked up the recorder and started playing. But then then folk music just hit me like in the senior year in high school. My sister got a guitar. I started playing it, and it was like the great Michael Smith, songwriter from Chicago, said, I never intended to be a guitar player or any of this, but I learned guitar so I could keep those songs that meant something to me close to me. And I thought, hallelujah, that's totally it. And I was just inspired by the music and the community and the message in there. And I just started playing, and I never would have auditioned except.
You can hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
conversely am OG folk because I just loved it. I got my first guitar at 10 in 1963, and I started reading music before words. I was just one of those kind of kids, and it was the civil rights. It was the message for me, the power in the message for the times. And it changed me. And I was young, but it changed me. It formed me. And I've never looked back.
That's awesome.
You mentioned the types of music that you write. It sounds like very early on you both found a home with folk music, like even before you started playing it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Well, we grew up in the era of, Libya's from Flint, and they had a tremendous educational system in those days because it was boom time. And I grew up. My mother was a classical viola player for the orchestra. She was going to school nights to get her degree and played in the orchestra. And then we had piano lessons, and we both sang in choirs. And
Choral work for me, definitely my schooling was superb in the school system. And then I had this incredible mentor in the Presbyterian Church, too, there in Flint. So we had the best teachers, let's face it.
Yeah, and we were, I think, fortunate. We were on the cusp of traditional folk music. Pete Seeger and the Weavers and Kingston Trio and Peter, Paul and Mary, and then we're at that time. Then it was the Beatles and it was Dylan, and so we have one foot in the in the traditional world and one foot in the modern
What was
songwriter
changing
world
at the time too?
And then there's
yeah.
all this. I was a madrigal singer, so there's all
nice.
this archaic ribald, Celtic even. I mean, it's folk music is literally folks and of all kind, and it's vast.
Well, and
vast.
it borrows from so many different styles.
There are no original thoughts,
No rules.
and there are no rules. You're allowed to borrow.
Yeah.
And we have just always done the things that we liked. I mean, we were never trying to be a bigger success. We were like, and I think that's actually part of the reason we've succeeded. It's always honest, and we always related to the audience. That fourth wall sort of doesn't exist. We talk to them. And I really believe that's a lot of why, but the magical combination. Michael is very outgoing and funny and natural on stage. It's like, Davy Bard Davy Crockett grinning down the bear. He is like that up there because he is such joy, and so is Libby. I'm a little more reserved than that. But
you have your moments, though. I saw you have some moments. I hear what you're saying about Libby.
I Chew to You is one of your finer songs.
So you kind of answered my question for me as far as why folk and what it was that brought you to it originally, let alone to play it for 50 plus years and everything. In that time that you've done that, you've seen, I'm sure, ups and downs with folk music, its popularity, it's the love of it. But where we are today, it's not only such a loved form of music, the respect that it has. And talking to, my mom was very similar to you guys. Some of the artists you mentioned she loved at the same age you were and stuff. And I know hearing and talking to her about this, one of the things that really was shocking to her later in life and to see where we are now is just the respect that it's been given, that it is the appreciation it has that it didn't always have back in the day. And as people that have been there from the beginning and some of the early days of it, I should say, how does that feel to be able to see where folk music is in today's culture and in today's just day and age and communities and everything?
Well, David can speak from a business standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, I feel it is all about the community. We're all in this one space together. We have a common ground. If you don't know the song, we don't even care if you sing the right song with us. Just folks singing has a uniting factor to it, and that's what I get the most out of it, and that's what I appreciate with the new generation coming up. They're feeling it.
Yeah, and people are always hungry for this. Even the younger generation. I mean, we were real successful playing the bars when we started out because of what we did. We weren't playing country or disco or comedy or and people appreciated it, though they drank mostly coffee and Coca-Cola. So the bars were
sure.
But it's come and gone. I think there was a real period in the 70s into the 80s where there was actually I don't know, I can get kind of deep on this.
Go for it.
A break in the chain. When we grew up, we learned folk music in school. We sang it. They got rid of a lot of the programming, then got rid of a lot of the NPR stations. It was there was I think a real generational break. But the kids who didn't get it now they thought it was cool. They thought it was like why don't we know this? And this is our history. And so it's gone through a couple of cycles since then. But yeah, you're absolutely right. There is
there's coffee houses.
A big deal going on with young people.
Yep. There's the singers. They want to call it Americana. It's fine. We get it. We didn't want to go to our grandparents' music halls. We don't. We encourage the younger.
But you're right. There isn't the baggage. I mean, it was folk was called a 4-letter word in the 70s, 80s, and I think that was all manipulation from the industry.
Yeah.
It was like people wanted this, and they wanted it so much that I've been an agent and manager for a lot of artists since '82, and I helped build that world because people would call me and say we want to have somebody in, and they had no venue, and it's like okay, well, I would talk them through establishing a venue. What it took is not much, but this music touches people's hearts. It goes into them, and that's what certainly we want as artists to feel like,
it's evocative. It's visceral.
What we do, they'll take away something valuable, and we try to get people to sing and laughter and tears and insights, and they appreciate they appreciate being. It's about what I always say. It's not selling. People get sold all the time. All the advertising. This is our experience in the folk music world is sharing an experience. And which is incredibly different and incredibly moving. That's what keeps us on the road. 52 years.
Very well said. I think, especially when it comes to comedy and comedians, and that it's a similar thing. Where society's always going to look for truth tellers, people that are willing to say the truth, willing to say things. Maybe not everybody is. Folk music was such a part of that, such a big part of that at the time that you're talking of then. We've seen even today that it has its not only its place, but its ability to be able to speak truth to truth and speak truth to power and so many other things that are always important in society, no matter where we are in society and how things are.
Protest music is righteous revolution and cannot be denied, will not be denied. The people will always speak. Mm-hmm. Hopefully, I mean, we are the numbers. We have the numbers on our side.
We have a wonderful festival, Bluegrass at the Lake, that happens here in town and everything, and it makes me think of that, too, as far as the growth of the music and the love of it, not just for, your generation, even our generations, but the younger generations out there that are really, like you said, digging it and really getting into it. Mm-hmm. Just a couple of quick things I wanted to touch on before we let you guys play, and I cannot thank you enough for being here and playing for us and stuff. We have the best seat in the house, the three of us. When it comes to your chemistry and your harmonizing, I'm an actor. I've been acting since I was a kid, and the biggest thing that I try to do when I'm working with somebody is, okay, immediately we got to get chemistry. We have to act like we've been doing this 100 years. How do we do that? We find different things and different ways to do that. I hear you guys. And from the first song I listened to of both of you, I don't know about you. Lee is much more the singer and can speak much more to music and everything. But when it comes to hearing you guys harmonize, I don't know that I've heard a lot of people do it the way that you do.
Really?
You have a very unique style of it that is just perfect to me. And again, I'm not going to word this right probably because I have no musical brain whatsoever, but hearing you lead and then hearing you kind of come in, and then there are times where you kind of join, and then there's times where it almost feels like a dance that sometimes you're dancing together and sometimes you're doing your own dance that's the same dance, but you still have that, you know what I mean? Nobody knows
it's
what
no
I mean.
mystery to you,
Fix this
is it?
Well, no, this is great because that really is Libby. She
Look
been
at
a singer since a kid.
So mad at myself right now.
No, that was great. She will never sing a song the same way. We go into the studio and I'll put down my track to do a harmony, and then she won't remember what she did, but she also has other ideas, which is and it's the same thing performing. I try to be as solid as I can be. Absolutely. Because I know Libby is going to be weaving the harmonies, and it's just incredible. I'd always wanted someone to sing.
That makes such sense.
And I'm just, well, it's the sopranos that get the lead, and I'm the alto. So.
Oh, preach. Also an alto.
But, that just
about
it comes from my background and my teachers in Flint, Michigan. Really, it does, because I hear actually in harmony.
Oh, okay.
I hear. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I can speak to that. If I'm just driving down the road in my car and I'm listening, I always sing the harmony because I was an alto and I was trained from like 6th grade through college.
I'm sure that
voice lessons when I was in high school and stuff. And it's like, then I'm not a singer. I'm not a performer. I mean, I've performed on stage here in musicals and I go to karaoke. But I always want to sing the harmony, and it's just once, as an alto, once that gets into your blood, you can't stop it.
One time, Peter Yarrow on stage, Peter used to keep me on my toes, and one time he said, we're going to try something different. He said, Libby, just sing, If You Miss the Train I'm On. And he started hitting the chord, and he knew it's not in my key.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is Peter Yarrow from Peter, Paul and Mary,
right.
superstars in the early '60s, and we had the opportunity to open for him and play with him a lot. So, but he was so enamored of Libby. He actually said, if I was
how could you blame? How could you look at this woman? She's glowing.
If I was a few years younger, I'd take you into the studio and do an album with you. I mean, he was
nicest guy.
So, but he would.
I said to him one time as we crawled off stage, I said, why do you do that to me? He made me do House of the Rising Sun.
Oh,
off the
stop.
cuff. We're on stage, and he starts playing it, and he said, Libby.
Oh, Wow.
So I had her
Nice.
What are you
sing it.
gonna do?
You have
gotta-
to.
Sing it.
You
in
literally
tune. Doesn't matter if you're singing the harmony part. Just sing it in tune. It was a highlight of my life.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do either of you have any jazz background or just listen to jazz, anything like that? Because that's another thing that I thought of with kind of what you're mentioning there about her jumping in and weaving in and out and
Wow.
stuff.
That
I
would,
can
that
sing
would
anything.
Be, that would be her.
You know, I was a jingle singer. You know, you just put it in front of me and
Someone get this woman a phone book.
one take Libby, he would call me, my commercial guy.
That's such a great
And
nickname.
that saved a lot of money.
Yes.
It saved a lot of money.
And I can't get her to sing a song. And
is rare.
I mean, she just loves to sing harmonies, and it's so great. And I never know. Yeah, I mean, it really does get transcended at times when I'm actually hitting my note, and yeah, it's just so
It's beautiful.
it's so
And
beautiful.
then the 3-part harmony is such revolve with Michael Huff, and it's just a beautiful experience to be in the middle of it. Let me tell you, it's more fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
You have a great seat in the house. Yeah, one of the best seats in the house. We did want to shout out Michael, the other member of the
certainly.
band
Oh.
and everything, and certainly the things that I learned about him. He's a really interesting guy.
hilarious.
Yeah, very much an MC. Very much an MC. It seems like.
Yes.
yes.
He's an MC, a fine songwriter, great performer, and he just retired up north in Michigan, but we get to do some shows with him once in a while.
Yeah.
So we really enjoy those.
We'll let you guys go after just a couple of quick questions. Thank you again for the
Sure.
time. Again, Mustard's Retreat performing at Macmillan Library's Fine Arts Center on Thursday, April 16th, 7 to 9:30. Those that may have not been able to have heard your music or are just coming in a little bit blind and stuff, what can people expect from a show of yours?
A little bit of everything. I mean, it's an honest, real, happy. Everybody gets in on the act.
Yeah, we've done more than 7,500 shows and never done the same show twice.
Oh no.
And even if we plan a show, because it's all about sharing experience with an audience. So somebody will say something or ask something, and something clicks, and then we have a
And
every
this
night.
16 CDs, this body of work, and you don't ask for a request because they could come out of left field. There's always someone who's seen Mustard's Retreat, no matter where we go. Has there ever been anyone here who's never seen us?
I think
maybe.
maybe when we were in Alaska.
You guys have gone to some pretty cool places and been all over the miles and miles that you have put in and everything. Is there any place that stands out to you that you remember? You mentioned that one. Anything that took you really far around the planet or anything?
Lithuania. My dad's family was from Lithuania, and we lost track of them before the Second World War. We got to tour back there. Long story, but I managed to find family again, and
Drank the water from the well of his grandfather.
So-
I love that stuff.
I got goosebumps right now. That's awesome.
I mean, we had a family reunion in a little village, and in the middle of the forest. I mean, it was really villagey. This house had only just gotten electricity, didn't have indoor plumbing yet. I mean, they had been there. They figured 250 years was all they could remember. I mean, and
All they could remember. Just the last
so
250.
I got there, and all this family was there, and the younger cousins, they all speak English. Everybody else spoke Russian up until 1991 when they got their freedom. And so when I got there, one of my uncles was pulling up water from the well, and he dipped a cup and said something, and my cousin said, "He's telling you now, drink the water that your grandfather drank."
Oh, stop.
Gosh.
It
Heavy.
it didn't make it into the song, but I did get a great song. So that
Yeah,
I mean,
Whisper
that's
of the
You need to
Stars,
write
yeah.
that lyric, though. You need to write that lyric. Drink the water that your grandfather drank. That's an amazing lyric.
yeah. I can. Well, I don't know how much time you got, but the song I wrote about Lithuania. My cousin, who I first contacted over there when she was 4 days old, they threw her on a cattle car with her parents after the Soviets came back after the Second World War, shipped them to Siberia threw them out, like 100,000 people there, and all the Lithuanians all have the story, and it was very complicated. And I wanted to write about it, and I couldn't find a way into the song. Sure. And then about a year later, I was listening to NPR, and they had there were researchers going out to Siberia to investigate this phenomenon where when it's 50 degrees below zero or colder, the words freeze. They're water vapor. They freeze into ice crystals as they come out of your mouth, and they fall to the floor. And if you listen, they chime, little ice crystals, and they call that the whisper of the stars. Stop. That's the song that.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, you should listen.
It's the second time today I'm gonna cry.
My job is done.
That's awesome. Really do appreciate that. I mentioned before, I'm not a pro at this. I'm not great at interviewing, but I do have a couple of people I've gotten to work with that are really good at it over the years, and learned from a lot of greats. One of the people that I really enjoyed was James Lipton. I liked watching him interview actors.
Yes,
I'm an actor, so I liked watching a lot of those, and I always appreciated his style. Something he used to do at the end of his interviews, I kind of like thought was a fun way of wrapping up a conversation. And I want to shout out Seth, my old partner in crime. He kind of helped me fine-tune this question. So your final question is also my hardest question for you. If you could have coffee with any historical figure, who would you have coffee with? Anybody. You can pick anybody you want.
John Lennon.
Oh, nice. Nice. My middle name is John after John Lennon. That's a good one. That's a good one.
You know, I would probably pick my father. You know, it's like he was a typical World War II vet. He never talked about the war, you know, and I was just growing up and not maturing, but, you know, I had a lot of time with him. But from this perspective, he died like 25 years ago. I would just love to sit down and see what he had to say and have a real talk.
It's a great answer. Yeah. Great
Wonderful.
I have to tell you this. My friend, S.B. Geisler from Savannah, from the Geisler Lumber Baron, walked into CBGB's in New York one day, and it was very crowded, and he fought his way up to the bar just as somebody left their seat, and he sat down and took it, and he ordered a Heineken, and the bartender brought him the Heineken, and the guy next to him said, "Good beer, mate," and he looked over, and it was John Lennon.
Oh, wow.
So somewhere in the course of drinking this beer, he goes, I've been in this town for 2 weeks. I'm filming a movie. Basically, it's about Yoko Ono. But I got a small bit part in there for somebody who looks like John Lennon. And boy, you look more like John Lennon than anybody I've auditioned.
That's hilarious. That is a
Think
great
of that
story.
if you ever find yourself sitting next to somebody that you
Yes.
cannot believe it.
I will never forget that story. Yes, yes.
As Bob Dylan, I would say, basically the movie's about Joan Baez, but I got a small bit part.
Thank you guys so much for
Oh,
the
it is
time.
our pleasure.
Really, really do appreciate it. We're going to get out of the way and let
Sure.
you do your thing, and that'll kind of wrap up the show for us. But again, a reminder to everybody, make plans. Mustard's Retreat is performing right here in Rapids at Macmillan Library Thursday, April 16th, 7 to 9:30 at the wonderful Fine Arts Center. Thank you again, and we
you.
cannot wait to hear you guys. So.
Thank you. Well, you asked what was about something memorable. Our first tour out of Michigan was to Wisconsin.
Oh.
And
So it's a homecoming.
Growing up in Connecticut, Wisconsin was always the place I wanted to go. I don't know why. But it was so we played in Kenosha. That was our first gig, and the last gig was in La Crosse, and the middle gig was in Rhinelander.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And so I called up to advance the show, and they said, "We've made a horrible mistake. We have booked you at the day of the town's annual potluck and dance, and nobody will be there, not even the promoters."
Oh, wow.
And I was crushed, and they said, "Oh, come sing between the potluck and the dance, and we'll pass the hat." And I said, "Yeah, welcome to folk music." We'll
Right.
do that. And it was an extraordinary. It was an extraordinary experience. There were, and this was done by WXPR, the
wow.
independent station up there. They I don't know if they still have a concert series, but they did this, and there were 4 generations there, eating, drinking, dancing together, and this song came out of that. And also, Michael's got a poem called Marie about dancing with somebody, challenged and just it was just wonderful. So that's where this song came from. My first trip to Wisconsin.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's called "There's a Dance Tonight." There's a dance tonight underneath the harvest moon. Oh, honey, won't you come along with me? Your folks will watch the kids. We can dance the way we did back when you were shy and I was 23. You were a lovely sight to see, dancing every dance with me. And that cotton dress you'd wear matched the flowers in your hair. And there's a magic in the night with the moon shining so bright. Oh, honey, won't you come along with me? Off the floor and back again, a long-time lovers, best of friends, through the changes and the years we have remained. And what was spark is now aglow, waiting only breath to blow it like kindling once again into a flame. Summer leans into the fall, old stories to recall, apple wine and autumn wind, in the company of friends, and let the music fine and sweet lift the years from off our feet, and remember times we'll never see again. And there's a dance tonight underneath the harvest moon. Oh, honey, won't you come along with me? Your folks will watch the kids. We can dance the way we did back when you were shy and I was 23. You were a lovely sight to see, dancing every dance with me. And that cotton dress you wear matched the flowers in your hair. And there's a magic in the night with the moon shining so bright. Oh, honey, won't you come along with me?
Thank you, guys.
Very good.
Sniff, sniff.
Ooh, it's good stuff.
David, can we even say about this song?
I was thinking. I think this song just got chosen by the Unitarian Council of the World to be in their hymnal. Wow. You know, I just got the confirmation last night. I mean, it's really it's a real honor to have written. I mean, this is becoming a folk song. People don't even know that I wrote it, and they're singing it all around the world. And so it's it's pretty
darn cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. So, so are we still recording now?
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. So yes,
You guys are too professional. You just jumped right into things, so we're just going to keep going.
All right. Well, I wrote this song in mid-November 2004 after the, as Michael will say, the presidential selection. It was things were getting really ugly. The rhetoric was getting ugly, uglier than it had ever been, and I thought, I have to say something about it because we were going to play for a folk society in 2 weeks, a really nice one in Lexington, Michigan, and everybody was feeling bad, and it's like, and I wanted to. I mean, felt like my whole life, had led up to that moment, that this was such a bad thing. Everybody was feeling bad. I wanted to address it for myself, And so I was standing in my living room, started strumming and thinking, where is the common ground? It has to be, there's common ground, with all this people getting paid millions of dollars to divide us and lying and stuff. There's a common ground for people, and it's got to be simple. There's got to, it's just the simple truths. And then really out of the blue, because I wrote, ours is a simple faith. And out of the blue, this line came, life is a short embrace. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wait a second, I would never write a line like that. And I was fortunate enough to be able to finish the song. It was just, it's been used for investitures, for births, for deaths, for celebrations. I just heard from somebody that they're doing it in India at this. It's like, so yes, it's an honor to be the vehicle for this. Ours is a simple faith. Life is a short embrace. Heaven is in this place every day. Hope is the ground we till. Make each day what you will. Thankful for dreams fulfilled every day. No room in this heart for fear. No judgment day drawing near. Trust that inner voice you hear every day. Life's not a goal or race. It's about heart and faith and living a life of grace every day. Ours is a simple faith. Life is a short embrace. Heaven is in this place every day. Hope is the ground we till. Make each day what you will. Thankful for dreams fulfilled every day. Trust is an open hand, making an honest stand, rooted here in the land every day. Live in the mystery, seeking the harmony here between you and me every day. Ours a simple faith. Life is a short embrace. Heaven is in this place every day. Hope is the ground we till. Make each day what you will. Thankful for dreams fulfilled every day.
I'm not going to make it through another song. I'm just sitting here tearing up every single time.
That me and me.
I was looking at you. I know. I'm like, stop looking at me. I'm going to cry.
That song. I remember the day I got a call from Peter Yarrow in 2005 after we put it out. He said, "We love this song. Peter, Paul, and Mary. We're rehearsing it. We want to record it and start performing it." And it was the last new song that Peter, Paul, and Mary were rehearsing before Mary passed. So they never got to perform it or record it. But Peter always insisted that we did it in our show, and we would do our opening set, and then we'd say we're going to bring out a special guest singer, and we bring Peter out, and he did that song, and he'd tell the audience and teach them to sing it. I mean, it was really.
He was a
extraordinary
generous
thing.
performer.
Yeah.
He loved David's song, and he spent 20 minutes of his own time, literally, of his own concert, explaining how Pete Seeger would teach the audience to sing Simple Faith. Now, David, do it this way.
I mean, yeah, it was talk
And
about
he-
memorable moments.
Yes, and before everybody knew that song before they left the building. And it was an amazing moment.
See, and you don't get that at just any show or any type of genre show either. You know, I mean, it's a specific thing, I think, with folk music. It's a specific thing even with what you guys do.
It touches the heart. If it comes from the heart and it's honest, it's going to touch your heart. So
Yeah.
that's the point.
Can we get one more song out of you guys?
What do you
Can
wanna
we do one more?
Well,
I always try to get one more out of our practice.
Mother Lode.
Well, you know,
What do you
yeah,
wanna
I could do the one about Lithuania, but you would cry.
Go for it. Make me cry.
So, you know, well,
It'll be good TV.
but you don't sing. Let's do "Gather the Family." This is another song of ours that, yeah.
Wait, I got to listen.
And
I want to remind everybody that mustardretreat.com is a wonderful website you can check out, find out all the information on these guys, and follow them where they're going, and check out some of the great music.
Libby
Purchase some
Glover
of
on
it.
Facebook.
Follow her.
she has her own following there. So this song, Michael and I wrote, you know, on our way down to the Kerrville Folk Festival, two of our most famous songs, a song about the volunteers and this one. And we were just stuck on a plane and had to do something. So, but it's, it's, you know, and then we sing the last verse in Lithuanian. When we had this translated before we went over there, because I knew we were going to be, well, in every concert we sang this, and they were so appreciative of that anybody would learn their language. It's a difficult language. It's a beautiful, beautiful language.
Beautiful
but,
language,
yeah, so we'll do the chorus at the end in Lithuanian. Gather the family, here we belong, and a welcome, good stranger, come in. Our voices together all singing one song, and it's here that the future begins. Our ancestors came from away, far away, from 1,000 traditions and kin. What we all share together as we stand here today, with a chance to start over again. Gather the family, here we belong, and a welcome, good stranger, come in. Our voices together all singing one song, and it's here that the future begins. Our measure of worth's not in power or gold. The greatest truth comes from the heart, and it's how we take care of the weak and the old. And this is a place we can start. Gather the family, here we belong, and a welcome, good stranger, come in. Our voices together all singing one song, and it's here that the future begins. And so, like a forest, our roots hold the past, while our branches reach into the sky. Let our gift to our children be family that lasts, and a future to which they can fly. Gather the family, here we belong, and a welcome, good stranger, come in. Our voices together all singing one song, and it's here that the future begins. Susiburkjam ishema, čemu vieta, sveitingas praeivė dužeik. Lig duona damina mes viena daina, ateitis prasideda čia. You know, and I couldn't translate all what the Lithuanian words were, but when they translated it, our voices together, all singing one song, they translated it like bread, like Well, it was like bread. We are sharing this song. Like, bread, sharing a meal, sharing bread, sacred act.
Yeah.
And so they had that. Yeah,
How
get
beautiful.
choked up.
Me too.
Thank you very much.
We have to end this interview because we're all
I know,
getting
we're
choked
just
up.
Fine,
Someone get some Kleenex.
if it gets in. So I'm also collect toy marbles and identify marbles for people, and if they want to bring them down to the
Yes.
library, I can. I'll sit and hear your stories and tell you some stories about the marbles that you've got.
You might
They're
see my
in your
dad.
drawers. You know that.
Oh yeah.
Yep, and I'll have a marble I help make for everybody who comes down.
Oh, beautiful!
So-
That's so great. This is, I mean, one of those moments you want to make sure that you are there for everybody. This is an incredible band, and they're coming right to our neck of the woods. I cannot thank you both enough, not just for the time today, but sharing with us today all the great stories, all the beautiful
you.
memories. We have already got a great memory built today from this. I cannot wait to make more with you guys and take it in this show.
Absolutely.
Thank you, and I want to thank the Macmillan for this series. We've played here. Michael and I played here 2 or 3 times in the past. This is Libby's first time here, but they have an extraordinary musical series, and it's very people may not know it, but it's very famous out in the world. People would know. Oh, we can go through Wisconsin, play a Thursday in Wisconsin Rapids with great sound, great auditorium,
That's right.
and So congratulations, Wisconsin Rapids. Hope you keep it going.
Yeah, McMillanLibrary.org is a website you can go to keep up on that great series that you're talking about there. And again, MustacheRetreat.com is where you can find them, follow them on social media, keep up to date on the cool things that they are doing over there, and certainly take in the performance at McMillan Library's Fine Arts Center Thursday, April 16th, 7 to 9:30. Mustache Retreat. Thank you both very much.
Thank
Know
you.
the love.
Thank you.
Thank you.